You are now rocking with Cleveland Sports Talk Radio. This is the Land Sports Podcast, hosted by Brad Ward and Rod Bluhm.
That's right, we're back at it. I am Brad Ward. Rod Bluhm is here, and it is Sunday night, like we always do on Sundays, bringing you the Land Sports Podcast, presented by Cleveland Sports Talk, www.clesportstalk.com. Go there always to get caught up on everything that's going down in Northeast Ohio sports, professionally and otherwise. Tonight we will take a dive into everything going on Cleveland sports. Your Browns are 18 days away from an epic draft, a huge draft in the outcome of their future. Pat Mahomes was in town on Friday. We're going to get into that. My partner wrote an epic piece about the entire dilemma that the Browns are facing, and we will dig deeper into that. Also, Charlie Casserly with a interesting mock draft, and Bill Barnwell and Tony Grossi. Collusion, potentially. We'll take a look at that. The Indians look like they're going to drop to 3-3 today. Knock on something, but they just need to get out of that stadium out there in Arizona, in my opinion. That place, Arizona, is hitting the cover off the ball right now. And then the Cavs. Hide the women and children, because everybody's going to be freaking out tomorrow. I can tell you that much. So, we'll dig further into their back-to-back losses to the Atlanta Hawks B team and then the Atlanta Hawks A team. So, interesting stuff there, as they are now 51-29 and tied with the Boston Celtics after it looked like they had things in hand down the stretch. That's later in the show. Rod, how are we this weekend?
Hey, Brad. It's great to be back talking some Cleveland sports. You know, my weekend was going along pretty well till, I would say, late this afternoon. I'm at my stepson's baseball scrimmage, and one of the kids on his team slid into home plate and broke his ankle. So the ambulance came and all that. And then we get home, and, you know, the Cavs have this big lead, and they blow the lead, and then I check out the Indians game, and it's not so good either. So I'm not quite sure what happened this afternoon, but we need to get some good things going here.
Holy crap, man. All right, so whose ankle was broken?
One of my stepson's teammates.
Oh, my gosh. Sliding into home, huh?
Sliding into home, yeah.
Let me ask you this. What age of baseball is that?
Junior high. So, okay. 14, 15.
So were the parents in a frenzy? Were people freaking out on each other?
Everybody was pretty calm. I think it was mostly because the kid was calm.
Okay.
He slid in, and he just didn't get up. He picked up his leg and pointed at his ankle to the coach. He's like, and I guess he said, "Coach, I think it's broken." And the kid never cried.
Dang.
You know, and I mean, I'm thinking this kid's tougher than I am. That's for sure. So
that's amazing.
But yeah, I mean, it stunk because it was really a scrimmage. They haven't started playing games in their league yet, and the kid's he's done. He's done for the season.
Well, that sucks, but
yeah.
Good on everybody, you know, keeping their cool. Those things can go ugly quickly. You know, I've been at a few of my son's games where, you know, the parents, you know, somebody takes offense to something somebody else's kid did, and it gets ugly, and it becomes all about the parents. So good on everybody there, keeping a cool head, and best wishes to the young man who broke his ankle. Back to Cleveland Sports Talk here, and you can go to www.clesportstalk.com to check out everything that we are writing about, content we're putting out at the website there. Beautiful article done by my partner this week, Bluhm, and we're going to dig into that here in a moment, but I want to start out this week's episode, as we start on the Browns here, with one Patrick Mahomes. Why are people calling him Mahomes now? His name is Mahomes, correct?
It is Mahomes, yeah. I mean, his dad was, I believe, Pat Mahomes, the pitcher, so I don't know. I don't know why people are doing that.
Have you heard people doing that?
I haven't.
Okay, yeah, I heard people on the radio calling him Mahomes yesterday. I don't know if it was a joke or what the hell was going on there, but all right.
I'm guessing it was a joke, yeah.
All right, Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes visited the Browns on Friday. That is his second time that the Browns had. Well, we went and worked him out there, I believe, in a private workout, and then we had him in for a visit. That probably entailed some interviewing. Put him up there in front of the whiteboard, and throw some questions at him, see how he can think on his feet, all that stuff. I heard an interview with his agent, who is actually, it's a pretty cool story. He was actually, his name escapes me right now, Lee something, but he was like an agent of like, quarterback agent of the NFL years ago, had a battle with alcoholism and addiction, and has now made a comeback and was the agent for, who was he the agent for last year? Somebody last year, and then now Mahomes this year. But he was interviewing, and Mahomes has been to 18 different workouts, Rod. That is by far and away the most of any player in heading into the 2017 draft. What does that mean to you? What's the meaning behind so many teams working out one guy more than anybody else?
I think they're trying to figure out what this guy is. I mean, he's got the best arm in the draft this year, but he comes from that spread offense, and he's ultra athletic, coming from the fact that his dad was a major league pitcher. I mean, it just shows when you watch the guy move around. But we all know that nobody's ever succeeded out of the spread, so everybody wants to try to figure out, is this guy going to be the first guy that's really going to come out and be a stud and actually learn the pro style offense and be successful under center? I mean, it's a tough call right now, because you don't know if you're going to get somebody who's going to turn into somebody like I don't want to just say he's going to be as good as Elway or anything, but he's got that kind of talent, the arm and the ability to move around, or is he a guy who has this great strong arm, but he's never going to be able to harness it? Somebody like Jay Cutler or somebody along those lines, somebody that you don't want really as your franchise guy.
Right.
So I think everybody's trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, he is definitely a puzzle. People trying to figure out what exactly he is. But now when you say nobody that has really had success in the spread, what about, wasn't, what's his name from a spread? Give me a second. Mariota, wasn't Mariota from a spread or a rip and read or whatever? What's his name from Dallas? Wasn't he in a similar offense that just had success this year?
I'll be honest, I don't know about Dak Prescott. I think you're probably right about Mariota. So,
okay. It may be too early to call him a success, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think that's
he's trending that way. You know what I mean? He's trending towards successful. So, I mean, I think some of these guys can overcome that stuff. In the interview I heard with his agent, he was talking very much about how he has already acclimated to the 3, 5, 7-step drops, all that good stuff. So, and said that he had, obviously, he's his agent, so he's going to be pounding on the table for him. But, you know, he was, you know, commenting on that and that he has a head for everything. You know, but, you know, once again, these are guys that never made a call or an audible once their entire, you know, college career. It's a leap of faith for sure, and I think you're absolutely right about the 18 workouts that people are kind of like, you know, do the physical attributes outweigh the risk that he brings otherwise, right? You know, so with his lack of experience in that sort of a situation, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, and I think they're probably also trying to figure out how long would it take him to get to be a starter.
To develop.
You know, and it depends on the franchise. Some teams could afford to take this guy and carry him, you know, not need him to start for 2 full years. You know, the Browns probably can't do that, but, you know, there are teams out there that could draft him and keep him on the roster and bring him along slowly. You know, so if they think it's going to take him 2 years, that really kind of limits the field. If in talking to him, if they feel like, wow, this guy's really got it, you know, and he could start for us halfway through his rookie year or in his second year, then that changes things.
It does. And, you know, Rod, it's interesting you bring that up because that's kind of what we were going to get into here in a minute. But, you know, with Tony Romo going to the booth, and that's something we're going to do a deep dive into NFL news later on in the show because there was some news this week. And you talk a little more about Romo's exit as well as the Roethlisberger news, which, you know, wasn't really much of news, but still we're gonna touch on it a little bit. But with Romo leaving, it just creates another team or teams that really need to find a quarterback, right? So as you look at this draft, there are a number, you know, and Roethlisberger talking about retiring. These are teams now that you have to consider. I mean, Landry Jones has a porn stash. And, you know, I'd rather pick my nose than watch him play football. So I can't really feel really good about, you know, Pittsburgh people feeling great about him being the next guy there in Pittsburgh. So you got to figure at some point maybe a Mahomes or one of these project guys taken at the right pick or the right value, you know, is the successor to some of these quarterbacks, and there's quite a few, you know, Carson Palmer, guys like that are coming to the end of their career. Now is the time, if you're a smart franchise, where you start to look at who that guy is, and maybe a Mahomes fits that mold perfectly. Now, the Browns can say all day that they're not going to play him, but we both know he's going to be on the field in year one, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to be realistic.
Let's be honest, yeah. I mean, we can say he's not going to be there, but, I mean, injury...
If we go through a year like last year with the injuries, then, yeah, he's going to have to play. I'm sure that they would do the same thing where they would start the year with Cody Kessler or Brock Osweiler or you know, or somebody, whoever they happen to have at that point, and say, this is going to be our guy because Mahomes is going to, you know, he needs to sit for a while and learn. He's the quarterback of the future. But yeah, if they get into an injury situation, the guy's going to play.
Right. But, like, if we look back at, like, the last 10 years, what year haven't we gone through, like, 4 quarterbacks?
It's been quite a long time.
Yeah, it makes it virtually impossible to say. I mean, they can say that till they're blue in the face, but I don't believe it at all that whoever they take in this draft is not going to be on the field at some point this season, you know, via